How's it going, doggy people? I hope you all are doing well. Today I'm going to answer a question that I got in my comments, which is a very good question about how to get a dog that's in a shelter situation, a very nervous dog, how to get them used to going out on leash without being very fearful. This dog, from what I've heard, is the only way you can get them out for a walk is to corner them, and they shut down, and then that's the way you can get the leash on. And then I don't know how they're taken out after that. I don't know if they're drug out, or they have to be carried out or whatnot, but to me that just sounds like a very bad situation, for a lot of reasons. One, that the people have to corner the dog, and of course mostly for the dog. The dog, in the words of, I believe, the trainer that's working with this dog, or a trainer, I don't know if it's the trainer, they're all volunteers. The trainer says eventually the dog will associate the walk as something good, which can happen. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. That's not a given. So this is nothing against the trainer. This is just my opinion. I've worked with many, many dogs that are very, fearful, feral dogs who have been raised in a family. They've just never been on a leash before and they freak out. So when I work with a dog that's this fearful, the first thing I want to do is gain their trust. Okay. First off, by trying to get this dog out for a walk, and you can only catch it by cornering it, and then it shuts down, you put the leash on, you're working way too fast. In my opinion, don't worry about the walk right now. You're not ready for a walk. If you get it out for a walk, and say you get it outside, and okay, they may act fine, or they may freak out at the nearest noise, a plastic bag, a garbage truck, somebody on a bicycle or a car going by, and then they freak out there. And although they're on a leash and they're walking, they have so much more to worry about outside. And what if they get away? You haven't built that trust with them. So for me, first thing I do is I go in the kennel, I just sit down, I'm sideways to the dog. So I'm not going to sit facing the dog, so I would sit sideways, the dog is to my left or to my right, and I just kind of ignore it and just toss some treats. I'm going to get the dog used to me moving my hands, moving a little bit at a time, strategic desensitization, which means you have timing, you have feel. Timing, obviously meaning up, down, as an example. Feel would be, you do this, and if the dog is, kind of wincing away, say I'm trying to pet the dog and they keep doing this and I keep doing this, that's not feel. You're not understanding the dog's pressure. You're putting too much pressure on the dog. You don't learn that, oh, okay, this is too much. But if it's just here, the dog doesn't move away. Perfect. We stay there. That's their threshold. So I put my hand here, and then eventually I can go a little bit closer and then away, closer and away. And every time I do this and the dog doesn't move away, perfect. If I do this and every time the dog moves away, you need to learn to do something different. You need to take more time, work slower. So first thing is I would just be in there and I would just have a leash and I would just kind of, work with the leash a little bit, wiggle it a little bit and put it down. Wiggle it a little bit, put it down, toss a treat. My goal is to desensitize the dog to my being there and having any kind of a tool, whether it's keys, whether it's a tape dispenser, I don't know, whatever you want. Just have, something to make some noise, a little tap like that might be too much. So just a little tap and then reward. Tap, give them some time, and then reward. Tap, and so on and so forth. Same with the leash, where you can move the leash all over the dog's body and they're comfortable with it. All right, first you may start with, just say this is a leash, and you just kind of rub it on the dog a little bit, or you just put it near the dog. Say I'm the dog, and you just kind of mosey it on around, or you just kind of move it towards their shoulder. You don't want to go for the face. Say you have a slip lead, just kind of move it close to their body. If they don't move away, perfect. If they move away, then take it away. Move it less, have more distance between the dog and the leash. And then you want to be able to just kind of stroke them with it and then give them a treat. And again, stroke them once, take it away. So that would be pressure. You're applying to the dog, making them nervous. That's stimulation, pressure. Move it away, give them time, give them a reward. Then back and forth, and you just desensitize the dog to having a leash thrown over their back, around their feet. You can put it on their neck. They can drag it around. This takes time, so don't expect to do this overnight. Your end goal is to have a walk, but how you get there is very important. So don't rush the process. Don't just because you're getting there, you get the dog to the walk, doesn't mean the dog learned anything other than they've already learned that, oh, I get cornered and you freak me out. And then it's just learned helplessness. And learned helplessness, regardless of how many people say it's, don't worry about it. You don't want any animal to learn or develop learned helplessness. when an animal is in a state of learned helplessness, it is just that they don't learn. They stopped learning. They are shut down. They are fearful beyond all belief. They think they're going to die. They just say, okay, just get it over with. Do it. Even though they don't die, they don't necessarily get hurt. In their mind, that's a powerful enough tool to just ruin a dog's life. So avoid that at all cost. If you can, try to learn from your mistakes. If the dog reacts, then that usually means that you're working too fast. That's not a bad thing. Making mistakes isn't a bad thing. Just learn from them. So my advice would be work until you can have the dog comes to you for the leash. Over time you can have the leash. If it's an open slip lead, you can have a treat here and have the dog just walk in, get the treat, and you can let him walk out. Walk in, get the treat. They do that over and over until it's just old news. They're used to it. Then you can let the leash hang around their neck. And you want to get them used to it by touching them with it. So that way when you put it on their neck, they don't freak out. You don't want to surprise your dog. Don't try to be sneaky. Don't try to, distract them with a treat here. And then you put the leash over their head and then you tighten it and then they freak out because then they have a bad association. You want your dog to know what's going to happen before it happens. So just do that. Desensitize them to it. Get them used to you standing up in there. If you're in the kennel and you sit down, they get used to that. You stand up, they're going to freak out again. So just work on that. Kind of stand up every now and then. They react, okay? As long as they're not going crazy and peeing themselves or barking at you. Stand up a little bit, stand there for a second, toss some treats or something, and sit back down. And do that again and again with timing and feel, and let the dog know what's going to happen. Don't just stand up quickly. Kind of, if I'm with a dog that's nervous, I might, kind of stand up on my knees, take a couple seconds, and stand up a little bit more, take a couple seconds, or put my hand down on the floor, over here or something, and then kind of, stand up from there. I'm letting them know that I'm going to start moving. I don't just hop up like that. So work with this dog that way with lots of little steps. If you take the time it takes less time. It's a process, not an event. So don't try to get this dog out for a walk right away. In my opinion, they're not ready for it. They're not going to, eventually they can learn that it's a good thing, but the whole process to it, they're not going to enjoy it. So in my opinion, just don't worry about the walk right now. Work on giving them that mental stimulation of learning something new, getting them used to, getting them over their fears. Just have a leash in there. Put the leash in there, just toss it on the ground, put some treats around it, let them sniff it. You can leave it in there while you're gone, walk away. And then when you get the dog used to having the leash on, dragging it around their kennel, you can start opening the door and having them walk through the doorway and go back in. Or start walking them, if there's an aisleway inside the building or where the kennel area is, then walk them there. Just you have to teach them to walk on leash now anyway, so that way they don't pull and freak out and all that. Just let them drag it in that little area if you can, if there's no other dogs or people. And just take your time with that. And then you can slowly work your way outside. My mentor gave me this brilliant visual of a target. You have the 3 rings. You have the outer ring, the center, and then the very center, the bullseye. So think of it like that. The outside of the ring is the furthest away from stimulation, so you're inside the kennel. Then the secondary ring is maybe inside of the building that you're walking on leash. And then the bullseye would be your goal to get outside on leash and your dog is able to go for a walk and actually enjoy it. So that's just basically how I would handle things, is don't worry about the end goal. I mean, you can have an end goal, which is so that's how I would handle things, is have that goal in mind. Terrific. That's awesome. We want that goal, but make sure you do it with achievable mini goals in the meantime. Build your way up to there. Don't just bam. Again, it's a process. It's not an event. If you make an event out of it, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to rush the dog. They're going to be nervous. Remember, it's a process, not an event. So don't rush things. You're going to make mistakes if you do. You're going to have setbacks. The dog is going to be more nervous. So just work. You're working on dog time. Okay, just work at the dog's pace and they will let you know when they're ready for the next step. You want that dog to be very comfortable having a leash around them. You don't want to ever have to corner a dog to put the leash on them. Because even then, yeah, they get outside, but how you get there is very important. The process in between that is more important than the results themselves. I'm not a big person that's a fan of just, okay, we got results regardless. I care about how we got those results. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have more questions. Let me know if this helps. I'd be happy to do some demos for you with my Shiba. Of course, he's totally fine with a lot of things, but I can show you timing and pressure and release and all that good stuff. So hope this helps. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, everybody, stay positive.